4th. It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday morning. And I had just been laid off, so I just sat down to do my unemployment, and then I heard the helicopter. And it took me about 5 seconds to run to my door on the west. I could see the helicopter through the doors circling around my house. I went to the door on the north. That took about 3 to 5 seconds. Saw it still circling. I ran to the kitchen window on the east side of the house, and I could see the sheriff's vehicles. And I thought, okay, well, let me go outside and deal with them outside. So within a space of 30 to 45 seconds, when I first heard the helicopter and I walked outside, I was greeted by an assault rifle pointed at my face by another officer who told me to get my hands up. Who's in the house? I said, nobody. And then he walked me to the back, and there's all the other officers, and the helicopter still sitting above us. And, you know, what they had thought they had discovered was illegal cultivation of marijuana. Colorado is a medical marijuana state. Me and my wife, when we moved here, we talked about that several times, and we talked, you know, because I'm an activist, they could try to use this against me somehow. After 5 years, we felt this is all legal. It's in the books. I told her, go ahead and do this. You know, she wanted to be a licensed caregiver. You know, it just took us some time to wrap our minds around this is legal, this is okay, there's nothing wrong with this.
Right.
And so this is what the helicopters claimed they found. And when the sheriff says, you know, why are we here? I go, yes. I said, all the paperwork you need to see is out there. He goes, this is a medical? I go, yeah. And he just looked at the ground for a little bit, and he goes, you got paperwork in the house? I said, the paperwork's in the greenhouse. Well, do you have them in the house? I said, they may be in the house. I don't know where they are. I said, I'm working 5 or 6 days.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, well. he looked at the ground a little bit more than, well, the next thing he did was he looked at me, started walking towards me. He said, let's go in the house. You know, me, you know, if I have witnesses, you know, people on the streets, gas station, video cameras, you know, things around, I would have stood my ground and argued. But when he started doing that and looked at me, there was something very deliberate, very intentional that he wanted to get in my house. And I looked around, I had nothing but police officers, law enforcement all around me. I had a helicopter above my head. I've got nobody for a witness. My nearest neighbor's a quarter mile away. I just went ahead and let him do what he's going to do just so I could make sure I survived this, because I had bells going off in my head. Something's going on. Be careful.
Right. You don't want to make a quick move.
Yeah, so when we walked to the house, I didn't walk too far ahead of him so he could accuse me of running away. I didn't walk too close to him so he could accuse me of grabbing his gun. And when we entered the door from the west door into my living room, I'd gotten about halfway across the living room, and I know the sheriff was right behind me. All of a sudden, another officer burst through the door from the north, yelling at me to get my hands up. Who's in the house? And I turned, looked at him, and I turned and looked at the sheriff, and the sheriff had already jumped out of the living room. He was outside the door, leaning off to the side of the door with his hand on his gun, looking at me. And I looked at him and waited. He didn't say anything, so I looked back at the deputy, and with my hand still up, I used my index finger, point over my head to my left. I said, the sheriff's right here, Joe. And I looked back at the sheriff. He just looked at him for a second, dropped his head. He goes, I'm right here, Joe. You know, that bothered me that he didn't immediately identify himself or that he even ran out of there. You know, I almost kind of wondered that was a setup at that point. You know, I don't know what was going on, but then he stepped back in and asked, well, where's the paperwork? I said, you know what? I already told you. It's in the greenhouse. Where it is in the house, I don't know. I said, it could be over here by the kitchen. It could be over here by the stove. It could be over here in this box underneath the coffee table. It could be over in the corner where I got about 20 boxes still packed. I said, I don't know where it is. He goes, what about the bedroom? I said, well, it might be in there. He goes, let's go. We started walking. He goes, wait a minute, do you have any guns in the house? I said, they're right inside the bedroom door. They removed all the guns. We stepped in, and he goes, where's the paperwork? I said, I told you. I don't know where they are. They're in the greenhouse. He goes, let's go. We walked out there. He looked at all the papers. He says, you don't have enough paperwork here. I said, as far as I know, it all matches. I said, I'm an iron worker. I work 50, 60 hours a week. I only come home for a day and a half, and I'm gone. I said, I don't have anything to do with this. And about that time, my wife had left to go see a friend to go get some eggs and milk, organic eggs. And while she was there, she saw the helicopter over our way, so she had been making her way back home and arrived at that time. And the sheriff said, you don't have enough paperwork. So she took the sheet protector, removed the scotch tape to keep the water out, and pulled out, I think, 6 pages. Now, Colorado allows 6 plants per patient. So it was 36 plants, and she only had 22, so there was like 14 plants under the limit. So he said, okay, you're good. And he looks at me, he goes, well, you're an ex-con. You're not supposed to have guns, so you're going to jail.
Oh, that's messed up.
So I got charged with possession of a dangerous weapon by a previous felon. At the preliminary hearing, the helicopter pilot stated that they were doing a regular routine flyover for eradication when he spotted what he appeared was illegal cultivation of marijuana. So I then notified the sheriff and directed them in. Okay, now let's think about that one. I heard the helicopter. I was outside and arrested within 30 to 45 seconds. And I always wondered what was going on. Well, a few weeks after my arrest, we had somebody show up in our yard about 11:30, 12 at night, racing their engine, honking a horn. We have no lights in that area of the yard, so we couldn't see who it was. And I grabbed the axe handle, and I was going to go outside, and my wife says, don't go out there. You don't know if they got a gun.
True.
And I said, okay, we'll go ahead and call. So we called it in, and we watched the guy. After about 20 minutes, he left our yard and drove over, and we seen he went to his house. And it's a local person. He's a drunk, a known thief. You know, just one of those worthless individuals that everybody has to tolerate. And we know that he's been to our home a few times, had stolen things from us. We have had a road grader somebody had given us, and we were pretty sure it was him that came over and stole the radiator out of it. So I haven't been able to use it for a few years. Well, the sheriffs came, went over to his house, because we were on the phone to dispatcher the entire time. They went to his home, seen he was there, put him in the bed, because they say he's drunk as hell. And the sheriff came over, and we told him what had happened, that I was going to go out, but we didn't know if they had a gun. He goes, oh, yeah, we took all your guns, didn't we? He goes, man, that was a bad day. And he goes, you know, when we're getting ready, they told us to watch out for you because you were very violent and dangerous. You know, I didn't say a word to him because according to the helicopter pilot and the sheriff, they came across his backs and there was no plan. But this deputy sheriff admitted that there was a planned raid.